So Sonia Percy came on at the end of season 1, and she was an ATF agent. And she was working undercover, and she took her job incredibly seriously. She was deep undercover. Toward the end of the season, her and the crew become really close and realize that they can work together. But Percy ends up breaking into the computer to see if they have a budget to hire her, which is like not ever a good idea, like ever in life. Don't ever do that if you actually want a job. Hacking is not the way. But she ends up getting the job. And so season 2, we start. Tonight, it's the premiere. And it's explosive. Like, big stuff happens. We blow up a bridge. And we got to find a missile. And it's insane. But in the midst of all of that, Sonia is a probie. So there's a lot of probie pranks and a lot of testing her on the terminology because now it's NCIS. And the relationships are getting deeper. But Sonia, in general, is a bit of a badass. She's tough. She's kind of in your face. But this season, you get to see more levels, more depth. It's not just that. It's other things. I mean, listen, I don't hack. That's not my jam. But in other ways, I'm very strong. I do pull-ups. I can push up with the best of them. That's one of the crew's favorite things is, we get some crew member that doesn't know. And he'll be like, yeah, so, push-ups. And I'll get down there and out push up him and like clap on him. And it's bad. Like, it's bad. And then I get up and I look pretty and I like do my job. So in that way, we're a lot alike. And then too, I feel like in a lot of ways, Sonia's journey with the NCIS team is also parallel with mine, being in the cast. So, all these people have been working together for a full season, and then I show up, and there's a lot of ribbing that goes on, and a lot of pranking, and so it's a good time. It's a good cast, and in a lot of ways, it's almost like I'm not acting. If you were privy to any of the blooper reels, you will see that all of us stumble when it comes to most of those words, all the terminology. I mean, it's hilarious. Those are considered hard days where you have to spit that stuff out and make it seem like, you've been saying this for years. I watched, before the audition, I watched a few episodes of NCIS New Orleans specifically, but the NCIS franchise is so much a part of American culture, and most people have seen at least one episode of NCIS. So in that way, I kind of felt like, oh, I get to do that thing, the thing that people, a lot of people love these shows. They love them. They follow them. They love the characters. They put up change.org petitions to keep people on the show. Like, they are diehard fans. And so the opportunity to be a part of something like that was very exciting. But in a lot of ways, I felt like I already knew what this is about because the show's been on for 13 seasons. Mercy Street takes place during the second year of the Civil War, and it's a mini-series. My character is Aurelia Johnson, and she manumitted herself and came up to Alexandria, Virginia, which was Union occupied, and got a job in the hospital as a laundress. Freedom for Black people at the time wasn't exactly free unless you had your family with you. Those family ties were one of the aspects of life that was decimated by slavery. your family members could be sold, so the idea of family was very fluid within the African American community. So the ability to have people that you were biologically linked to living with you every day was sort of the top of the priority list. So she asks a man that works at the hospital to help her reunite with her family, and she's taken advantage of. So the organization is called the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. And what they do is anti-racism workshops. And they've been around for 36 years. And they do these workshops all over the country. And they're looking racism straight in the face. And they believe that because racism is something that has been done, it could be undone. But it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of the white community coming to grips with their hand in it. With the Emmys, I think the fact that year by year you don't count the amount of white actors that were nominated, it says a lot about where we are. I'm so glad, and I believe that those women who won, their work was incredible this year. But truthfully, throughout the years, and I think that this is what a lot of them have said in some way, we've been on television since television, but the roles that we were allowed to have were not were not indicative of our experiences. Most of them were seen as racist, and they were racist tropes and stereotypes, and how that affects the Black community and how it affects a white community as well it's damaging. So the fact that right now we have a record number of people of color on television, and a record number of people of color writing, and a record number of people of color directing. But as you go up those lines, those numbers decrease significantly to nothing. So the fact that, our studio heads and executives look the same as 10 years ago, as 20 years ago, as 30 years ago, it's like, so there hasn't been much of a sea change. But, I was floored by what Viola Davis said. A lot of people of color understand that intrinsically, but to say that on such a large platform, it was something that needed to be said. And I'm interested to see what next year's Emmys are going to look like, especially seeing the track record of the Oscars, having a record number of people of color being honored, and then the next year almost zero.